Inspirational. Powerfully refining. And unapologetically controversial. Conversations with the Royal Empress. The entire world knows the secret of who you are. Now is the time to step into your queendom and become the Royal Empress that you're meant to be. One woman at a time. Conversations with the Royal Empress. Now Akila, she's the analytical Empress. Akima, she's the Empress that will challenge you. And Lakashay Nadira, she's the Empress who tells it like it is. Now, straighten up your crown and be elevated through conversations. Conversations with the Royal Empress.
Welcome to this week's podcast. This is Dr. Hakima Jahad Muhammad. Joining me today is my fellow Royal Empress, Akila and Lakashay.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.
Okay, I have to really talk about something that I saw this morning on Facebook, and it was actually it was two postings. One was, I guess, a girl posted, I don't know. But it said, out of the four women, which one do you want? Which one would you rather have? And they each picture got a woman that's basically butt naked. One picture is a pretty girl, and she's damn near butt naked. She just in bra and panties, and it says she can't cook. One of them is cooking, and all you see is the back of her, and she's got on underwear and a T-shirt, and all it says is she got 7 children. And then there's one, and this girl, she lay in the bed, legs wide open, like she got, little skimpy bra and panties on and say she don't have no job. And then I forgot what the other one was.
I think I saw that one. I think
you saw that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another post I saw where this guy, these 3 girls or 4 girls was bent over, and he's smacking their butt, and then he dancing all behind them, climbing on top of them, jumping on another one. And I'm sitting here like, and these girls are sitting here. And then the last girl he jumped on while the other one's bent over. She laying on the floor with her legs wide open, and he laying right between them. And it's like this big brouhaha in the background. And I'm like, see, this is what bothers me. Because these would be the same women talking about men ain't shit. Or mad at you because you have a man. Or they'll ask you a question like, girl, what trick you did to get this man to marry you? How did you trick this man into marrying you? Or how did you trick this man into claiming you as his woman or being in a official relationship with you? Like it's some type of trick, It sure wasn't a trick of none of them women did in that video, because really ain't no trick to get a man to marry you. It had to be a decent woman, a woman that he could take home to his mother, a woman that he could say, if I have a daughter with her, she would be a great example. Don't know, man. I don't care how much he chases whorish type of women. He does not want his daughter to grow up to be one. So he's less likely to wife a woman like that, because he's like, I don't want my daughter to be like that. I'm just taking advantage of the opportunity. She's a whore. I don't want her as my wife, but I'll sleep with her. I mean, you hear guys say this all the time. But then you have women walking around upset about this. But, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have men wanting to desire you sexually. Everywhere you walk, you want men to say, oh, look at her butt, look at her breast, look at her. But then on the other side of the argument, you want him to respect you. You can't have it both ways. Either you want to be looked at as a sex goddess, or you want to be looked at as a queen. And you can't be both.
Right.
If you're presenting yourself as a tramp up front, don't expect him to respect you after you've presented yourself in the opposite manner.
I'm going to quote Alexandra Dumas that wrote The Three Musketeers. Men's minds are raised to the level of the women with whom they associate. So if you act like that, then you'll be treated like that. Men will rise up to meet you where you are, or they won't.
Or they won't.
And it's really just that simple to me. So some people think, oh no, that's saying, oh yeah, you're right, but it's true. We teach men how to treat us.
This is true.
And the problem is that we have started watching all of these things, and everybody, I used to say this years ago, everybody wants to out freak each other. I'm going to use that term. And they're looking for ways to do this, to drop it like it's hot, to do this, to do that, and not understanding that what sets you apart if you just sitting out here trying to do everything that everybody else is doing.
So what about women who would argue and say that I'm just being sexy, you know? I mean, what's wrong with me being able to be free as a woman and show, you know, the world what I'm with? What do you say to that? Because, I mean, I know women who will be listening to this conversation and feel as though that, you know, maybe we're being a little too harsh because this is a world of freedom. You know, this is a world where women can wear whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, you know, and call it being sexy. And what's wrong with it? I mean, that I want to show my breast and that I want to show the crack of my behind, or, you know, I don't mind having a credit card swiped in between my booty cheeks, you know, as a display for a video or just as a display for a record album. What's wrong with showing myself when you talk about being a free woman? Because, I mean, if I'm not allowed to, then doesn't that mean I'm being suppressed? Doesn't that mean that I am really being disrespected because I have not been allowed the opportunity, you know, to show what my mama gave me?
You can do whatever you want to do, but don't then look around and say, why can't I keep or get a man to marry me? The reality is nobody is telling you what you can or cannot do. You have free will. God gave you free will. So you can do with it as you choose. But understand, for every action, there's a reaction. There's cause and effect. And so what we do, there is something that comes behind that. And that's just the reality. That's the reality of the world. And just like you have the freedom to take your clothes off, somebody else has the freedom to talk about you for doing so. Or choosing not.
I like how you put that.
Or choosing not to be with you. But the reality is, you will get a man.
Well, what kind of man?
Well, and see that's where we go. But you will get a man. The question is, will you keep him? Will he be exclusively yours? But I mean, you can dress like a saint, and that won't make a man be exclusively yours. So the reality of it is that you have free will. Do with it as you choose. But I would just say that depending on what it is that you're looking to attract, that's what you need to think about. What is it that I desire? What is it that I want? What am I trying to attract? If you're trying to attract a dog,
and there you go.
Then do what you will.
Yeah, and you make a very valid and good point. If you're trying to attract a dog, then you know you want to put out there things that a dog would be attracted to, like a bone or you know some flesh, and other things. So yeah, if you're trying to attract a baby, you know who's used to nursing, then go ahead and put your breast out because every baby is going to think that it's time, you know, to suckle. And most of the babies that I'm referring to in this case are the men who have not matured and who have not grown. Actually, I won't even say men, but boys who have yet to become men, who are still operating from their lower desires and have yet to rise to their higher desires. In my personal opinion, I believe that when you see a man who functions only below the belt or from the waist down, and in terms of what it is that his appetite is, and if it is something that is, you know, of the flesh only, then you have a man who still has a lot of work to do. Not the type of man I would be interested in at all, because if a man is attracted only to that, I mean, of course, naturally, that's what you see first. But if that's the very thing that causes him to get with you as a woman and to make you his woman, to feel a desire to, want to go further with you in a relationship, if that's the only thing that you have going and that he has going, then that's a relationship that's headed to disaster, and that's a relationship that cannot last long because there's no substance there.
Yeah, men are
There's
visual.
nothing that actually can hold and support the relationship. There's nothing there to buttress the relationship but a behind, but a backside, and that is unfortunate.
Yeah, I was
that
saying,
goes.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
That goes back to, with the quote that you made, that just made me think of what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said, "Where there is no good men, there is no good women." So if the women mindset is in the gutter, then your men's mindset is going to be in the gutter. So you could. There's a brother that could be attracted to all of that when he's with that type of woman.
Mm-hmm.
If you put him around a decent woman, he could be decent with her, but be doggish with you, because that's where, like you mentioned in your quote of, you appealing to the low side of a man. That's what you're appealing to out of him. There's something greater in him, but you're not trying to tap into that. You only want to tap into his lower desires, the low part of that man.
It doesn't take
And you know
long.
what? You're right. It just goes back to the question you asked of what's wrong with that. You decide what type of woman you want to be. You can't be the devil and then want the results of a God. It don't work that way. You can't take a man away from God and think that God is going to bless you with a man, his son, one that he made in his image, when you're the one that's you're an adversary to God. You're taking the man off of God, and you putting them on your body on some low level of thinking. So why?
But didn't God make the body?
Yeah, he made the body for your husband to enjoy, not for every man on the block to enjoy. And it's supposed to be for a man and woman to procreate, not just on a physical level, but on a spiritual and emotional level as well. But it's not supposed to be just so you can sleep with everybody and it just becomes something physical. That's just not what it is. But that's what women want to make it. If it wasn't for that in man, we'd probably be destroyed, because man would destroy us. We're weaker than them, and they're natural conquerors. So that's a power. That's like a safety switch or a safety default that God puts in women. Because men go, wait, hey, I won't destroy you because there's something in you that I like. There's something in you that captures my attention. Because if I didn't see that, I'll destroy you because you're weaker than me.
He sees heaven. But
what did you say?
That's because he finds heaven with the woman.
Right, absolutely.
I was just saying that I think that because men are visual, that there's going to be a certain element. I don't care what you wear. A natural man is going to be attracted to you, period. And he's going to have his mind somewhere, period. I don't care how righteous he is. I don't care any of that. And so even if you cover all the way up, his imagination is still going. And so it's up to you from a mental standpoint to raise his thinking and to help him to raise his thinking. Mm-hmm. And you won't do that with your breast in his face. Right. You just won't, because it's going to be very difficult for him to focus when he got some 36 double D's in his face. It's just that's just... and especially when we're talking about a natural man. So, right. And is that my, and some women will argue, well, that's not my fault. He needs to do this and he needs to do that. And it's like, it's so funny to me when I hear women say stuff like that, because it's like, so now you want to defy the laws of nature. Mm-hmm. You want him to act other than himself. That doesn't mean that he has to be a dog and has to reach out and touch. He does have to have some self-control and maintain himself. They get no passes for that. Control yourself. But don't expect him not to look. Don't expect you to bring out in him what is naturally in him when you expose him to that which he likes. And that's what we tend to do. And then we get offended and we want to say, well, why is he treating me like this? But I've told people, I've told my younger cousins and brothers, I said, just because a woman disrespects herself doesn't mean that you go and disrespect her too.
Right.
It does not mean that that's what you do. So we still have to put something on the man to say that just because the sister disrespects herself does not mean that you get to disrespect her too. But again, we have to understand as women that we can command and demand from that man a certain level of respect. And depending on how you carry yourself, men will treat you accordingly. I have been out on the street with straight guys that you would think are thugs and hood and all of these things, and they're still respectful because of the way that you carry yourself. You know that common word that they say in Chicago, that line, Miss Lady.
Oh, yo.
Is that a Chicago thing?
I think it's a Chicago thing. How you doing today, Miss Lady?
Yeah.
Well, at least they said Miss, huh?
Miss Lady, yes. But there's something behind Miss Lady. That's the hood level of respect, though.
Yes.
They're not calling you a B or a whore or anything like that because you're carrying yourself in a certain manner, and they automatically feel like, I got to show this woman some respect.
Well, because when a woman respects herself, she automatically, naturally comes with a certain spirit and energy, and it naturally lifts men or whomever is around her up, because it forces you to look at me for what I bring to the table and not what it is that I'm wearing per se, but who I am.
I had a man tell me one time, this is years and years ago, I had on this long dress. It was a sundress, but it was still long, and that was before everybody got, sundress. And the brother, I was walking into my mom's house, and he stopped me. He said, I just want to thank you. And I looked at him. I said, huh? He said, for having on some clothes.
Oh, wow. Ain't that so?
Mercy,
Ain't that
mercy.
sad?
And I looked. I was
Wow.
like, wow. He said, you look so nice and so beautiful. Sister, thank you. Now, let me say this. This was thug life. Okay, this is one of the boys that hang on the block, all of this kind of stuff. But it meant a lot to me to hear him say that. Now, I didn't have on some loose quote unquote sexy sundress, so to speak, but everything was covered. And just to hear that, and I had to be in my 20s when that happened. And so it made me to understand that men do appreciate that. But now, on the other hand, you do have some men, and I've had guys like this, who like to put their women on display because they have that pimp mentality.
Right.
They like for their woman, they like to have this bad B on their arm to show the other guys what they have. And that's some ego tripping type stuff.
I never understood that. When I see a man who wants to constantly, like you said, display, whether it's you going out and wear this, yeah, how your breasts are, yeah, I like it like this, I like it like that. What kind of man are you that you would want to prostitute your woman, your queen, the woman who is the mother of your children, whatever the case might be, and you want to show her and parade her to the rest of the world so that they can, gawk all over her? What kind of man is that? You're not too much of a man at all, in my opinion. I think you're a long way from a man, but yet you are underdeveloped boy.
That's really what it is. You're not fully developed.
Or that's the one that met a woman like that. So because he met you and you had a long slit up the side of your dress and he saw all your thighs and everything, why shouldn't you dress like that when you with him? He figured that's how I met you. So now when I go around my boys and I told them what type of chick you was, now I want them to see what I told them already. So I didn't want to before you. Now I'm about to come after you because I'm about to parade you in front of all these dudes because I already told them. Man, let me tell you about this chick I'm smashing.
I guess if you're presenting her in the sense of smashing her, then, yeah, I can see. But I'm talking about grown AZZ men, grown men who very well may be married. And this is not just a girl that they're trying to necessarily flaunt around their male friends or whatever, but this is a woman, somebody who they've made a commitment with, marriage or otherwise. And you feel comfortable exposing her. It reminds me of, like when you see children, or not even just children, but you can see anybody who, let's say they're not used to having new clothes or they're not used to having new things. People who drive big cars and they feel like, hey, I want everybody in the neighborhood to see my car. I just got these shoes, man. I want everybody in the neighborhood to see my shoes. I want everybody in the neighborhood to see this watch. Why? What is the root of that? The root is that, in truth, you're insecure. You're not secure. You haven't been made secure as of yet. And the things, the material things, makes you feel like you are somebody. Thanks to my brother Jesse Jackson, you are somebody. But in truth, you're not. You really don't believe that you are, so you have to have these things. And I believe when a man does that with his woman, he's not secure at all. He's very insecure, immature, underdeveloped, and has yet to grow into real manhood because you're still operating on a low level with all the rest of the beasts of the world.
You don't think that's because she was already like that? You can't. I
Well,
find
it's not so much. Now, she very well may already be like that, but I'm not. And that's a different. That's definitely a different, not a different subject. But I'm just speaking to the opposite of that, whether she was like that or not. But in most cases, yes, she probably was like that. But for you as a man okay, when you think about a man, his job as a maintainer or protector, just those two things alone. Are you protecting your woman by wanting and you actually desire for other men to look at her in this way?
And there are men like that. There are men who absolutely want the woman on display. That's what they want. And and I've known men who've done that, and the woman didn't come to him dressed like that. He started trying to get her to dress like that. It's the same way you see some of these sisters who may have been nice, innocent schoolgirls, and they get with the wrong man. And next thing you know, they on drugs and everything else. So it can happen in many ways. And so yes, naturally, if you come to him like that and all you are is the bust down, as they say, then of course he's going to continue to be that way. But many men also will meet a woman who dresses like that, and then once it's the woman, the argument
trying to cover up.
Right, now you're trying to cover me up, but you met me out here like this, and now you want me to change my outfit. And it's a reality. I had a girl tell me one time she wanted to give me an outfit to wear. I was ready to go out, right? And she said to me, "Oh, girl, I got this little tight outfit you can wear." I said, "Girl, I can't wear that." And she says, "Why not?" And I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, if I put that on, as soon as he comes to the door, he's going to tell me you need to go change your clothes. And she started laughing, and she was like, well, I couldn't have a man telling me how to dress. I said, it doesn't bother me because I'm not trying to go out there like that. First of all, any man that is safety-minded and thinking about certain things knows that if he goes out with his woman and she's stopping traffic and doing all of that, that creates an environment that could be dangerous for him. Because now you got men disrespecting your woman, saying things, disrespecting you. So then as a man, now I feel like I got to defend her. And all types of stuff happens as a result of that. Now the flip side is, if he high-fiving the men that are looking at you and skinning and grinning, you got another problem on your hands as a woman.
But now, the same example that you gave of that type of man, who because he's the woman's protector and he wants to make sure nothing happens, or he doesn't want her to be seen on display, so therefore he suggests or strongly encourages her to, dress differently, maybe a little more modest. In some cases, that is the reason. In other cases, it's just because of what I mentioned earlier. It's straight insecurity. Or, even jealousy. Now, I'm not talking about I won't even say average man who does that, because in some cases it's very legitimate, but in some cases you're dealing with the same type of underdeveloped man that you dealt with in this other scenario that I gave, where shoot, you can be wrapped up like you in the doggone desert, and he still has a problem with it because he's insecure in himself, and just the fact that somebody even looked at you poses a problem. But that's dealing with something altogether different, and that's another conversation.
Yeah, I think that's altogether different, because the insecure man is gonna find every little thing that you do as a potential threat from him for another guy to walk in. Right, he'll nitpick or become so controlling because the insecure. I think that's a lot different than a lot of situations we discussed. Yeah. I just think a man is going to be wherever. He's going to meet you where you at.
He's going to meet you where you are.
If he's a lowly type woman, then he figure, oh, okay. Okay, you're a lowly type woman. That's where he going to be.
Unless he's Captain Saver.
Oh. Well, but it's
what you say? Unless he does what?
Unless he's Captain Save Her.
Oh yeah, Captain Saver Her.
I said Saver. I said Saver.
That's the same guy. Though.
I know. I'm just, I was just trying to be politically correct.
Right, I get you.
Yes,
that's the same guy. That's the same guy that'll meet you where you at, but then he'll be trying to change you later, like you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Which is nothing. Which is nothing wrong with that. But again, depending on the scenario. But the bottom line is that there are no tricks to getting someone that is a good mate for you.
Thank you.
And dressing like, showing everything. Most men, I think, and I don't like to really speak for men because I'm not a man, but it's been my understanding from men that many of them like for something to be left to the imagination.
Yes, I've been told that. I've been told that a lot.
They don't want everything.
And the thing about it, yeah, you both kind of hit it on the head earlier. When you have conversations, and I've had quite a few with men like you both have mentioned, they prefer that there is something left to the imagination. But when you can take a person that's not hungry and take them to a really good restaurant, and they may eat still, even though they may not be hungry. The same is so for the man. If you flaunt it in front of him and you put it and shake it and you know, then maybe that necessarily may not be what he desires, but he may fall victim, you know, because he is a natural man. So, yes, he may choose to say, well, hey, you know, sis, you know, man, that show is cute, or man, that looks nice. But his God self in him is desiring that you leave something, you know, not just for his imagination, but everybody else out there should not be able to clearly see, you know, everything. You know, there's that saying, why buy the cow when I can get the milk for free? And I can see how this can apply even in that scenario, because if you're showing everything, all the nooks and crannies, all of the pieces of every piece of the chicken, side, the leg, the breast, you know, the wing, everything, then, you know, you've already exposed, or you've already presented everything to me, so I've already devalued it. Why do I need to purchase it? Meaning, why do I need to take it to the next level with you? Because you're giving me everything and I don't even have to work for it. See, when something is of value, most of the time, when we have been given something of value, now just think about it, whether it's a ring that our grandmother gave us and she's no longer with us and it was something that was near and dear to her, a necklace, whatever the case might be, something that we hold valuable to us, we don't just put it out there for everything else or everybody else to have access to it. We make sure that we keep that sacred. We put it in a place that is not as easy to obtain. We take it out of view. Maybe we may put it up, you know, in hiding even. But we don't just expose it, because we don't want thieves, robbers, and other people who mean us any good to come and take it from us, because we do value it. In the same way with the woman. Because we are valuable because we are precious, because we are royal, because we are the mothers of civilization, then we set a standard, or a standard really has already been set for us. And with that, we must make sure, if we really, are talking serious or we mean business, then we have to put people in the mindset of how they should respond to us. If I'm talking business, then I'm not going to come out, necessarily and go to a business meeting in some, jogging shorts and shoes, depending upon what type of business I'm talking. I may decide to, hey, for this, I'm going to have to, put on a nice business suit or business attire. And so the same way with us as women, when we want the world to take us seriously, when we want our community to take us seriously, and when we want our men to take us serious and look at us for the queens that we are, then we have to first take a look in the mirror and make sure that we are representing or a reflection of that which we desire to, be looked upon as.
So let me ask you a question. Because in other conversations we talked about the competitiveness of the woman. Because to me, the scenario changes when other women are present. So it's more or less a competition thing. I have to dress this way because I need to get attention from these guys because I'm competing with so many other women. What do you think about that? Do you think that needs to be taken into consideration, or what? I seem to think so. It becomes a issue of competition.
You're saying competition with the other woman?
As far as what motivates me to dress provocative? You know what I mean? If I'm the only woman in the room, I can come there wrapped in a sheet. I'm the only woman, so all guys gonna be on me anyway. But if I walk into the room and there's 4 other women in there, and if I feel insecure as a woman, I feel like I don't have enough to offer a man internally, I don't see value in myself. So the only thing I feel that I can offer is to get your attention away from everyone else. I got to wear something like showing my rear end or showing my breasts or whatever. Do you think that has a lot to do with it? It becomes more of a competitive issue? What do you think? What do you guys think on that?
Well, of course there's competition, because that's the whole thing when I was saying how people want to try to out-freak each other. You want to be...
It just sounds so funny.
I know. But that's the thing. Everybody is in competition. Everybody is trying to find the latest and greatest things to do to show that they're the baddest, whatever, and I can get him, and I can do this, and I can take your man, and I can do blah, 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 blah. But none of it means anything. Oh, me and that blah, blah again. But none of it means anything. Because what are you really getting? What are you getting? It means nothing. It's the same way when the movie came out. I think we talked about this in another podcast before, when we were talking about that Girls Trip movie, and they talked about the whole thing with the grapefruit. And and the supermarket was running out after the movie. Women were flying in there buying grapefruit.
That's sad. They tell you where their head is.
So I'm just saying. So we're constantly trying to figure men out and figure out what men want, what men like, what men need, all of these things, and what we can do to outdo the next woman, so that we can get the prize, we can get the man. And what we fail to understand sometimes is that we are the prize.
Yes, yes.
We're the prize. He needs to come for you. Let him compete to get you.
Right. And I agree that there is competition for sure, because there's competition whether the other woman or whether there's another woman present or not. Because in the case that Hakima mentioned earlier, the woman, you can come in the door with a sheet if there's no other women around and you're trying to get the attention of a man, but why don't you? Why? Because you know that there are other women out there that may not be present, and you don't want him to turn his eye, and you don't want him to, or you don't want to feel as if there's something else that might be better than you. There's always going to be somebody more beautiful. There's always going to be somebody with a better shape. There's always going to be that somebody, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And we all have a different perception of what we think beauty looks like. So, yes, there is competition, even when the competition is not present. But I think that more importantly, it's the woman's desire. She competes, or she's, putting herself or matching herself up to other women, for the reasons that I mentioned, but it's ultimately because of her desire to be loved. She needs or wants the attention. And it's like, I just want somebody to pay attention to me. I just want somebody to love me. I just want to be noticed. And so if this is what it's going to take, because who doesn't want to be loved? Who doesn't want someone to pay attention to them? Who doesn't want to be chosen? Every woman does. And so this is just her way of saying, well, since this is what makes him tick, since there's another woman out here who might got something a little bigger, she may have something in her little toolbox that I may not, let me go and get a butt injection. Let me go and get some more breasts. Let me go and get some more hair down to my ankles, which I promise I seen somebody who had hair down to their ankles the other day. Oh, my husband had brought it to my attention, but I hadn't seen it. There's someone who shares where our business is. They rent from the same space. And he said, babe, I promise you that her hair, I'm not exaggerating, he said it was down to her ankles. I think she was going to trip. And I just figured, yeah, he's not exaggerating, but sure, I'm sure he has. Y'all, listen, and I don't mean to get off topic, but her hair literally was down to her ankle. She had braids, but they were to her. So I just was just looking with my mouth open, and she was waiting for flies to fly in because I didn't know what to say. But anyway, I digress.
The only thing I would say to anybody and to any other woman is for myself personally, the only woman I'm in competition with is myself.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
If I have to feel like I have to win you or compete with another woman for you, she can have you.
I know that's right, sister.
I mean, that's kind of where I draw the line. It's like I'm not getting ready to do all of that. And we all have ego. And I've been guilty of probably staying with somebody longer than I should have because I'm like, yeah, well, she looking at him, she ain't gonna get him. I don't want him either. But that's ego. And we have to transcend ego and realize that you are worth so much more than all of that. There is no reason. There is zero reason. And people can miss me with the whole population of men outnumber women and come on.
I don't buy into that. I don't buy into that.
Stop it. Just stop it.
That's another conversation.
There are. But there are certain cities where yes, women do outnumber men in some cities, and in some cities it's the exact opposite. So but we got this big gigantic world. And let's be real, we got social media and all of these things, so you don't have to just meet men in your neighborhood anymore. You got an entire world of men out there, and trust and believe there are enough to go around, and you don't have to do that. There is somebody out there that is perfect for you. And here's the thing, you can do everything possible for that man, for you to keep that man. You can do everything. You could do every single thing right. You can be a beauty queen. You could do everything. And it still won't make him stay with you if that's not what he wants to do. So love you.
There you go.
Love you.
Right, love you. There you go.
Right, just love you and know that the right person for you exists, and you don't have to compete because he'll come.
That's so true. I mean, all-time favorite advice to give, yes, because when we understand, and I believe you touched on this earlier, when you understand, who you are, there's no need to go outside of that box. Focus on who you are, understand that, accept that, believe that, and, everything else that you desire, everything else that is for you, like you said, it'll come. You don't have to. You don't have to. Now, you need to work on yourself, but not work on yourself in the sense of trying to compete with others, but work on yourself, because water seeks its own level, right?
It does.
So
you have to like what you see.
Right.
So I mean, I'm like any other person. When I get up and look in the mirror, I want to like what I see. But that doesn't mean that I have to go and alter anything for that to happen. But good old exercise helps. Things like that. But you also don't want to look in the mirror because somebody else has told you something about yourself and you don't like what you see because of what others have put into your head. So it's still a process of having to learn. And we have to understand that happiness is an inside job. There is nothing outside of you that can make you
waiting
happy.
For a man. That's so
None
true.
of it. That nothing outside of you is going to give you long-term happiness. It might give you something temporary. But in the long run, whatever deficits you have, whatever insecurities you have, whatever that's inside of you that does not allow you to have long-term happiness is going to creep back in, because it'll never sustain you what's outside of you. So even women who go and get butt injections and things like that, it's still just temporary, because the common denominator is you. So that whatever issues you had internally are still there no matter what you do externally. And that's just something that we got to understand. So you can walk around if you want to with your booty out, with your breast out, with all of that kind of stuff, but it's still going to be something temporary. Because when you go home by yourself with yourself at night, when you look at yourself in the mirror, you still got to deal with you.
That's so true.
No matter where you go, there you are.
And that's why it's so important, like you said, to be happy with yourself. No one, not a man, not a woman for a man, can make you happy. Because if you're not already happy solo, then the only thing that's going to do getting another or a mate, the only thing that's going to do is make it even that more 10 times more worse, than what the situation already is, because now you are passing over and sharing your unhappiness, your miserable self with somebody else. So it's better to be perfect. Nobody can make you whole.
You nobody can to the table whole. Yes.
Yeah, you can. Right, you got this.
We can enhance each other, but we cannot make each other happy. Happiness is simply an inside job, and so many people, they feel like they're not happy because they're not in a relationship, or they're trying to do everything to get this, and that's the wrong attitude to have. It really is, because if you're happy, you're going to attract somebody that's happy, and if you're miserable, you may even attract somebody miserable, and misery loves company. And it's a whole lot of people who get together because they commiserate over misery. They make, and they
might even seem like they happy in the beginning because it's a front, and then a couple of more months down the line, you were like, but I thought that they were just as miserable as you. That's why they were so quick to jump on that other misery. Yeah. It reminds me, we were talking about coming to the table whole, and not expecting someone to make you whole, but maybe allowing and expecting for someone that's just to add on to what's already there. It reminds me of a pie. Think of a pie. You have a whole pie already complete, ready and done, ready to eat, and you bring it to the table, and maybe somebody may have some extra toppings for that pie. Maybe they got a little whipped cream to add. So that other person is just an addition to, what you already have. They're not coming with another pie, or they're not coming with a pie or half of another pie to complete your half. No. It has to already be present in the beginning. And it has to complement you. So it's a compliment.
A compliment, not a completion. It's like that whole, I know everybody saw Jerry Maguire, and we love that line. You complete me. Now we running out here. Oh, I need somebody to complete me. Hell, can't nobody complete you. You better come complete. Because if you 50% and I'm 100%, then you're ready to suck the life out of me. Because your cup is not full.
Hello. This is so true. I know that's so true.
We need to come on full. I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
Yeah, real talk though. We have to be careful even with that extra, that other 50%. Because, like you said, if somebody comes with 50 and you got 100, now, naturally, I'm about to suck you for what you have.
Yeah.
And that's unfair to me. Because now it becomes emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially draining. You become like a vampire. It's just sucking the living.
Something like that on social media, and I said the vampire energy vampires are rampant.
They are. They are. Relationship. They are. Because we better make sure that we take care of ourselves first. Do what we need to do for self, and then trust me. If you're not ready, you shouldn't even be looking. If you're not ready, and that's male and female alike, if you already know that you're broken, if you know that you're broken, you better get somebody to help you fix yourself. Because I think it's disrespectful and it's unfair. It's so unfair for you to actually, for one, expect somebody else to fix you. And then it's unfair for you to invite somebody else into that madness and that foolishness that you're dealing with. Because nobody wants a part of that. No. Take care of yourself. And then at the end, it'll be better. It'll be more pleasant. It'll be a more peaceful convening of the two. Because both will be able to come together with something. Don't nobody like you coming to the table. That's like somebody coming to a family outing. You know that one person that comes for Thanksgiving or whatever the other holidays are, or event that you may have, a party, and they never bring anything, but they eat up everything.
That's what you're going to say.
So, right. You know what I'm talking about. They come. And they got they plate. What y'all cook? Oh, your mama makes some good peach cobbler, whatever the case might be. So you fixing your plate, eating up, but you haven't bought a thing. You, as a matter of fact, you didn't bring anything last year or the year before. That's just terrible. That's wrong. And, you know, in a relationship, it's the same thing. You didn't bring anything to the table in your last relationship. That's why it ended. And now you seeking another one?
Yeah, they did. They brought a big booty. They brought big breasts. They sexy. They sexy. You know how, I mean, it's unbelievable how people think that's something that they brought to the table. I had a chick tell me her stuff was so good that ain't no man gonna leave her. I said, so why you ain't got no man now? I said, so obviously the men that you had, that wasn't good enough for them to stay. So it's some people's mind. They think,
Eddie Murphy
feel like that's
them.
what they bring to the table.
You may keep them for a while, but it's not a long-term solution with nothing else there, unless he's just a superficial man.
Right, and I was gonna say it depends on what kind of man. But see, that's not even a man.
Right, it depends on what you got, and that's what we're talking about. What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you're trying to attract? Because there are plenty of women who are like that. And see, so it's hard to tell sisters this sometimes when you see some of these very wealthy men with the bimbo on their arm, and that's who's there. And they're living this wonderful, beautiful life that many sisters want. And right, but because you don't know what emotional problems and struggles these people are going through. You don't know what kind of hell they are living. See, we look at people and think, oh, they have money, they have this, they have that. They must have this beautiful, beautiful life. And you don't know the hell. You don't know the amount of drugs that they may be taking. You don't know the amount of alcohol that they may be drinking to soothe the pain of having to sleep with some man that they really don't even want to sleep with, but they want the money.
That's a sad life.
Oh, but we don't know.
But
we don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot that goes along with it. Everything that shines is not gold. And so the question you have to ask yourself is the quality of life that you are looking for. What is it that you want? And I guess if you out there and all you care about is the money and whatever and in good times, then, I mean, hey, then knock yourself out. But what kind of life is that? What kind of life is that?
Right.
But you got to.
Or if you out there and that's all you care about is butt and behind and cheeks and all that, then what kind of life is that? But again, there's some people that's enough for them.
Well, they say it is. They say it is. Because again, you're still seeking something that's outside of yourself. And we already know that long-term happiness does not come from outside stimuli. It just does not happen. those are temporary fixes, and you still got to live with the demons and the darkness that you have inside of you. It does not go away.
Right. Lovely Conversations with the Royal Empress. Join us next time as we have more hot, sizzling conversations, things that you want to hear.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Conversations with the Royal Empress. Tune in next week for another enlightening conversation. For more information on the Royal Empress, please visit the website royalempress.org. You can also follow the Royal Empress on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Conversations with the Royal Empress is a subsidiary of the Royal Empress organization. All rights reserved.